Okay, yes, here we go. Hola. Today is gonna be like a bubble. The bubble. The show is named The Bubble, La Burbuja. Bienvenido a La Burbuja de Paula Dinaro. It's me. Welcome to my bubble.
Okay.
Thank
if you
you.
See a lot of nodding.
It's like,
let's see.
so today we're doing a Spanglish because Dr. Scott is a real American man.
That's a very nice way of putting it. I'm working on my Spanish.
Anabela Cabello, que ya todos la conocen, amorosa aquí ella con sus coaching.
Gracias,
en
Paula,
en
por
la
la oportunidad de
salud.
estar
No,
aquí.
por favor, siempre un placer. And I say this show is named The Bubble because we're in an energetic bubble,
Mhm,
right?
sure.
It's common love from here and expands. So my mission with this show is that my bubble of love expands so everybody can live in a better world and a more
Yes.
peaceful and harmonic world, you
Mhm.
know. And
Absolutely.
the idea with this show is give to the people the most, tools to have a better life.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to talk about Ayurveda and astrology. Astrology, I love it. Everybody knows me. I love this because I super believe in it.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you, how do you get along? I mean, how you meet and what is the idea of all this?
Well, I have been practicing astrology and Ayurveda as a physician. I'm a doctor of natural medicine and a chiropractor, and I've been using
good.
astrology my whole life. But when I started practicing 28 years ago, I started to compile data on my patients because there was a strong consistency between what they were experiencing from a health standpoint versus what they had on their chart. Like, for instance, a lot of Sagittarian sun signs frequently have issues with their hips and their legs. Almost always with Cancers and Virgos, we see issues with the upper GI. If they're not balanced, and this is when we would look over to the Ayurveda to see how they're expressing the arrangements of planets in their chart.
Oh, wow. Super interesting.
So, bueno, primero para los que nos están viendo y están hablando español, Dr. Scott Keller y Anabela Cabello unimos nuestras experiencias y fuerzas y energías para crear este nuevo enfoque a la sanación, que es combinando la astrología con la medicina ayurvédica, la intuición del Dr. Scott, médico intuitivo, y mi experiencia como coach. Entonces, Dr. Scott viene implementando esta fórmula por más de 27 años en su práctica en Nueva York con sus pacientes de quiropraxia. Sin embargo, él lo que decía es que después de que él hacía una lectura, por ejemplo, o una consulta, muchas veces se perdía, no había un seguimiento sobre la implementación de las recomendaciones que se hicieron durante la consulta. Es ahí cuando decidimos, wow, con mi experiencia como coach, yo puedo ayudar a las personas a implementar
A tener una continuidad.
las recomendaciones y tener una continuidad, y ha sido
Ver los
súper
resultados.
exitoso.
Entonces,
Lo que el doctor estaba diciendo anteriormente es que él en sus 27 años ha visto patrones
según
de
los signos.
conducta y patrones que se manifiestan en el cuerpo físico dependiendo del signo zodiacal en que nacimos o donde tenemos el ascendente. So basically, I was just
I understood
and
everything.
I added a little bit more.
Yeah, so
I even though I don't speak as well, I understood everything you said.
okay,
Thank you.
that's great. So you're a chiropractor, so you have a lot of intuition and you have all this knowledge that comes with the body. The body talks.
Yeah, for
Always.
sure.
The body talks.
It speaks
and
volumes.
It speaks volumes. So you have the ability to read that.
Sure.
And how do you love astrology? You start studying and
I came from a very metaphysical background. I come from a long line of medical.
I have a metaphysical.
That's great. Well, you and I
Yeah.
are among the minority. I come from a family of intuitives. I feel like, talk about being raised in a bubble. I was raised in a metaphysical bubble, basically in yoga camps and ashrams.
Isn't it amazing?
But it was interesting, Paula. It's no great stretch being born under the sign of Pisces. We know that water signs like yourself and your daughter we have a natural propensity towards the healing arts and towards the intuitive healing arts, where there's a vibrational difference among people. Nothing is better or worse. We're just in different places. The planet has to operate with all the vibrations, and our responsibility is to operate in a place of healing and to raise the vibration to a place of a more metaphysical place. So for me, it was easy. I was raised in that vibration, and being born in Pisces like you, we go towards healing. So I became a medical intuitive. I was doing medical intuitive work before I'd even become a physician.
Exactly.
My
Before
mother,
studying, you knew it.
Yeah, well, my mother is a world famous intuitive and author. Her name is Joyce Keller. And, you know, once I started to compile data astrologically, and then shortly after that, and a few years of practice bringing the Ayurvedic element in, all it did was expand the conscious understanding of what was happening with each patient and each client.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm so into it.
We've developed our own model from it, which is really fascinating and really exciting, because it's a model that is an extension of what's been in existence for 5,000 to 10,000 years, but with a modern American twist on it, which is what I was explaining before.
Yeah, because Ayurveda is like a way of living, no? Like it's not only a diet, ¿verdad? Vamos a hablar. We're going to talk a little bit in Spanish.
Sure, please. Let's see what I can understand.
Astrology is the imprint of all our characteristics. Our likes, dislikes, proclivities, shortcomings, tendencies, even the tendencies to develop a disease. While Ayurveda is how we manifest these energies in our personalities and physical body. So we cannot change what is in our birth chart. But we can rectify whatever is not working for us through changes in our lifestyle with Ayurveda medicine. So part of our recommendations always come from a nutritional standpoint, from a physical standpoint, and from our personality standpoint, because if we have a very reactive personality, we're going to increase inflammation in our body, which increases our cortisol levels, which not only holds weight, but it develops a disease if we don't do anything about it. So when we analyze, you know, and we do the Ayurvedic profile of the person and we see the tendencies on the birth chart, we can make proper recommendations to minimize those reactivities and those triggers that are bringing their reactivities on and creating the inflammation. So that is why it's very individualized. Everybody's different. Not everybody born under the same sign.
No, even if you're born in the same sign, I mean, you have your ascendant, you have your...
Well, we say, Paula, that 65% of who we are is determined by our sun sign, our ascendant or rising sign, and our moon sign. This is something that we discuss in more detail in our workshops, and we're going to be this Sunday at the Center for Inner Wisdom in Oakland Park at 2:30 p.m. It's a wonderful workshop about Ayurveda and astrology and how to use these ancient healing techniques to reach a perfect health, attract the perfect romantic partner, improve your relationships, and choose the optimum career for yourself.
Hablemos un poquito más de Ayurveda, porque se escucha mucho Ayurveda por ahí, pero no sé si digamos, yo por ejemplo sé algo, pero no tengo una profundidad de entender muy bien qué es Ayurveda. Contame un poquito, o you. What is more like Ayurveda? Because people heard about it, I heard about it, I know a little bit, but no like...
I think Annabella's explanation is really good. Ayurveda and astrology were created around the same time. In an ancient time, with the ancient rishis and yogis of India, it was a time where we were much more intuitive, much more connected to the etheric plane, and information streamed to us like information over YouTube. Not now, where we struggle because we're in this densified body, albeit still in the bubble, but we're more dense and we're not pulling information. So the information that came to us 5,000 to 10,000 years ago is far more etherically accurate, if you will. And what Annabella was saying was really interesting. I always like in our lectures, we always do this phrase. I like to say that if we take certain elements out of our chart, namely Mars and Saturn, which we were just talking about,
Yeah.
we're left with nothing but happiness. But there are so many things, you know, we laugh that people astrologically, they say, oh, well, I'm a Pisces or I'm a Cancer, whatever it is. But there's so much more. There's 9, 12, 15 other aspects, 12 other houses that are all aspecting and, you know, affecting who you are.
So
I will answer your question about Ayurveda.
Yes, to directly answer your question, Paula, there are 3 doshas or 3 energies.
Yes.
We all have these 3 energies. They're called Pitta, Vata, and Kapha. The difference between one person and another one is which of these energies is predominant.
Yeah.
And we all have the 3 energies simultaneously, and different parts of our bodies are ruled by a different dosha. So it's not that we're only one dosha. However, let's take myself as an example. My predominant dosha is Kapha.
Slow, methodical, sincere, warm, gentle, reliable, loving. But conversely, there are always trade-offs physically. When Kapha is out of balance, they become lethargic. The digestion slows down, prone to constipation, prone to all the issues that happen with people when their system's slow, like diabetes and atherosclerosis.
Okay.
Take myself, I didn't mean to take away your thunder, but I use myself conversely. My predominant label, Ayurvedic label, which we call a dosha, is Pitta, the more aggressive, fiery, funneled, red color face, certain hair texture, achiever type A personality. We need these personalities. In fact, from a work and romantic standpoint and relationship standpoint, these doshas, these predominant doshas that are relevant to each of us, complement one another. For instance, Annabella and I work together, and she mostly is, first of all, we're all 2 doshas, mostly. Means Annabella is Kapha Pitta or Kapha Vata, we don't know, but her predominant dosha is the more relaxed, sincere, gentle one, whereas mine is more aggressive. Those things really complement each other in business and in our personal relationships.
Yes, and that is something that we actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to share on May 16th in Hollywood at Crystal Vision, located on Sterling Road. We're going to offer astrology and Ayurveda for love and romance.
It's the best one ever. We're very excited about this one.
I'm bringing this up because of what Dr. Scott just said. In relationships, depending on how we choose to relate with, we can balance our doshas if we're out of balance. For example, when he's experiencing excessive Pitta energy and he's around me, immediately he will slow down.
Certain breathing exercises can be implemented, certain mental exercises can be implemented, certain person that you can grab hold of and gravitate towards and take their energy while they're using yours. I don't mean to use the word take, but we all feed from one another.
Yeah, we are all,
and we gravitate towards the relationships that are most productive. Annabella's and my relationship is very productive because we feed instead of vampiristically taking away energy.
No, imagine if it's another one like so
like me. Well, that's exhausting.
Exactly.
When there's another predominant Pitta in my midst, forget about it. It's wonderful. It's heaven for 10-15 minutes.
Exactly.
Then after that, exactly.
But I was going to say, Paula, that it's very interesting that we gravitate to those that are like
initially,
us, but it's not necessarily what is best for us.
It's not healthy.
And that happens in relationships, that happens in even physical activity. For example, a person who's a type A personality, very aggressive, goal getter, gravitates to aggressive type of exercise.
Yeah.
Kickboxing, running,
extreme sports.
But when there is an imbalance, what they need to do actually is meditation, yoga, Tai Chi.
It takes discipline, and this is why physicians and people who are specialists like Annabella and I, who evaluate the chart, we do a full profile, a full Ayurvedic profile on all our clients before we even do their natal chart, believe it or not. Yeah, because what we can do is we can right off the bat, look, no matter what we're working on, whether it's career building, whether it's relationships, whether it's health, it has to always start with health. So that's why we do Ayurveda, because we want to get the person in the healthiest place so that they can make the right decisions for their career, for their family, for whatever it is, their spiritual development.
Yeah, like I always say, it's very interesting to have all these tools to know yourself. The idea is that, like, know yourself better and love yourself better, and then you can go out in the world and, do your best, give your best. Because sometimes, all the energy that you don't know, you're in the wrong place, you're with the wrong person, and all the energy gets inside and gets like the symptoms for the sickness,
Well, that is the perfect example of how we create illnesses and disease. When we internalize all that energy. And I just want to share, we have seen a pattern when we do not express ourselves and we do not express our moon energy and some of the very important energy of the planets in our chart. We internalize, and guess what? We create disease in that body part that is ruled by that specific sign.
Absolutely.
Wow. We have seen people born under the sign of Scorpio or have a rising in Scorpio or another major planet in Scorpio that have been abused in their childhood and physically abused and or sexually abused. And Scorpio rules the reproductive organs and the sex organs. And we have seen a pattern of people who have been victims of physical and sexual abuse who have not expressed this, horrible tragedy, and they have developed, cancer.
Einstein said that energy is not created or destroyed; it just changes form. He was the greatest spiritualist next to Gandhi and other people of our time. Another Pisces. But he took spirituality and put it in a formulaic form on a blackboard, whereas others did it different ways. Some do it with yoga, some do it with political statements like Gandhi. But whatever it is, he created a format. He led us to understand that if you don't do what Annabella just explained, the energy is going to go somewhere.
Exactly.
So going back to another thing that you said that was interesting, we are preparing for our Love and Romance lecture at Crystal Vision, which we're excited about, and you were saying a few minutes ago, because I know that's ultimately your goal here is to get to Love and Romance. But we can't go down that road until we introspect enough, and we can't introspect enough until we do the individual chart. And we are just astonished every time we do an individual chart as to how much people have going on that they haven't expressed yet.
Yes.
How many tendencies. You look at Jupiter, an area where they can develop expansion of their mind, body, spirit, their careers, their everything, and they say this is something to tap into. Well, in our formula, because there are misuses and positive uses of energy of any planet or any celestial body in the universe, we want to teach people how to pretend for a moment that there's a dial on your sternum that you can turn to whatever you need. Say you need that beautiful Aquarian creative energy. You turn that on. And you turn down some of the other self-defeating elements. Say if you had maybe Cancer in Scorpio where you're internalizing, as a perfect example. I know you don't. We have to do your chart too. But if you did, Scorpio is a great example because Saturn is the planet that handcuffs us and teaches us great lessons, but also can hurt us in the interim if we're not fully aware of the importance and significance of Saturn. But in the interim, you may be taking information that you could be expressing in your beautiful Aquarian moon, I think it was, right? But that Saturn, that handcuffing, very minimizing, condensed, self-defeating energy is causing you to internalize it. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we can go on to that dial, turn it, and say, you know what, I'm going on to Aquarian moon right now, screw that Saturn in Scorpio. Just as an example for our model.
Lo que digo siempre, digamos, todas estas herramientas que tenemos, hay tanto. I'm always say all the roads lead to Rome, you know.
Beautiful.
So, yes, and Rome, and the reverse is amor en español. Roma, amor. So all these tools is just to know yourself, to conocerse mejor, aceptarse, poder tomar las decisiones correctas, tener un coach que te guíe y te ayude, porque even if you know yourself, you have the information, and then, okay, what I do with all this information, you know, how I continue, is hard to...
Es que eso fue exactamente...
Exactly, the change takes, like, it's a process, and if you don't have, no tienes soporte en el proceso, es muy fácil que te caigas y digas, porque además alrededor tuyo, por lo general, la gente está en el día a día, en el corre-corre, entonces empezar a hacer el cambio y tener esta ayuda, este soporte de un coach es súper importante.
Sí, gracias Paula, exactamente. Por eso desarrollamos este gran proyecto, porque uno va a una consulta, sea con un metafísico, un astrólogo, un medicina ayurvédico o un doctor en general, y te dicen, no, usted tiene que hacer A, B, C, D para rectificar la condición, para que se sienta mejor. Muy buena la consulta, muy buena la lectura, y cuando uno llega a casa, ok, ¿y cómo hago?
Toda la familia haciendo
No, y
otra
aparte
cosa.
Que uno, son hábitos.
Son hábitos.
Uno tiene que romper hábitos que no están funcionando e implementar nuevos hábitos.
Y que los cambios no tienen que ser así de un día para el otro, porque ahí puede haber un desbalance también, que es un proceso. Hay cosas que sí hay que sacar.
Y otras cosas, Paula, es que también vamos cambiando, nuestra energía va cambiando. Entonces la recomendación es... cuando uno hace el seguimiento en una semana o en 2 semanas, a lo mejor la recomendación va a ser diferente.
Claro.
A lo mejor ya esa energía que estábamos tratando de balancear ya está balanceada y tenemos que enfocarnos en otra cosa. Entonces no es recomendaciones para siempre. Uno va cambiando, las circunstancias van cambiando, pero una de las cosas que es, yo soy una apasionada de las emociones.
Ajá. Total.
De controlar las emociones y no dejar que las emociones nos controlen a nosotros.
Absolutamente.
Porque uno puede tener todo el conocimiento del mundo, toda la sabiduría del mundo, pero si uno permite que las emociones nos controlen, no podemos...
Se jodió la cosa. Hablando en español.
No podemos avanzar. Y eso es una de las cosas que astrológicamente vemos, cómo... ¿cuál es el componente emocional en ciertos planetas? We're talking about the emotional component of specific planets, such as Mars and Saturn. It's it's so interesting, and we are so passionate about what we're doing, and we have seen groundbreaking results.
People who have reversed terminal diseases, people who have brought the greatest prosperity into their lives. You know, earlier we had a chance to speak before the show started, and we were talking a little bit about what it is that makes this project so unique. And I want to just take a moment. You know, over the course of 27 years in Manhattan as a practitioner at the Edgar Cayce Foundation, I had the luxury of many people, I'm sure, who know who Edgar Cayce was. He's our modern day Nostradamus, great prophet. He helped people with intuitively with problems and past life regressions and all stuff of that nature. But one of the things that was, I guess, the driving impetus for this project that we started here in Florida was that over these 27 years, as I'm treating patients, and I saw a lot, almost over 9,000 patients in 27 years. Wow. It was a lot. You know, I had the great fortune of doing readings on many of these people. But the problem became that if they weren't an ongoing patient of mine, I frequently, after doing this groundbreaking reading and touching a person's soul, I would lose touch with them. And I said, oh my God, I mean, there's a conveyor belt of people coming who need help, but whatever happened to those people was slowly driving me crazy.
Exactly.
And so I had always dreamed of importing and implementing a system that would allow us to keep track and follow up. So when I met Annabella and we began this project about a year ago, I said, this is the perfect opportunity with her therapeutic experience,
Yeah.
with her astrological and Ayurvedic understanding, and with her extraordinary coaching abilities. We have the opportunity now to implement a procedure where we do follow-ups with people, and we allow people to continue the reading and the life coaching sessions, which almost everybody does because it is so groundbreaking. And then
Yeah.
we continue to use their Ayurvedic profile and astrological profile. But the amazing thing is we evaluate not the astrological natal chart, but how their Ayurvedic manifestation of their energies change as they heal.
And manifest.
And this is one of the most, and the other groundbreaking element to our project is that we get to do something that not a lot of people do. And without patting myself on the back, I'll say very simply, we get to include medical, clinical experience and clinical diagnostics with all that
Exactly.
metaphysical
Yeah,
diagnostic stuff.
It is easier also when you have a medical diagnostic because
Truly.
people understand better and you can go and focus exactly. And
Well, what they're doing is they're coming to us with issues like thyroid problems or respiratory issues or reproductive issues. Dr. Scott, can you help us? Yeah, it begins and starts with your birth natal chart and your Ayurvedic profile. It really does. Please tell everybody, what did Hippocrates say?
Oh, Hippocrates said, a physician without the knowledge of astrology had better call himself a fool than a physician.
Thank you.
Ok, para aquellos que no entienden inglés, dice un médico, ¿no? Que no tiene conocimientos de astrología, que no se llame médico, sino un tonto.
Sí.
Así mismo. Vamos a saludar que tenemos un montón de gente. Adrián Sampeces de Argentina, Claudia Monserrat, Javier Mizcaya, María, Graciela, Mónica. Hola, Mónica.
Hi, Maria.
Johnny Riga. Hey, Johnny, we're doing an English for you. Patty.
And me.
Aquí Sandra, Zulema. Gracias a todos por estar ahí. Como siempre les digo, compartan este programa porque la información que siempre traemos es maravillosa. Eso siempre, I'm always like surrounded with good people.
Yes.
Me too.
We choose, right? We choose, I mean, like I say, what do you want to get in your bubble? Well, you know.
You get
what is-
back what you give out.
Yes, exactly. What is the energy that you let in and, I mean, let out and let in, you know, and you're surrounded. So I'm always love this all kind of stuff because I'm always learning because you don't know everything. And I'm always like I say, you try everything. You know, maybe it's this for you, maybe it's not, but just try it. If you don't try it, you don't know. And I'm sure it is for you because that is reading your, ¿cómo se dice? Como sí, como la carta, ¿no? Con la que venimos. La carta
Exacto.
natal te dice a qué hora naciste y los signos cómo estaban. No podemos pensar que eso no nos afecta.
Claro.
We can think about that the external astrology doesn't affect us because we're part of the universe. So
Okay.
es como que, ay, yo no creo en esto, ay, yo no creo en aquello.
Bueno, gracias por decir eso, porque una de las cosas que nosotros siempre conversamos durante las charlas es que la ciencia detrás de la astrología.
Total.
Can you tell us, Dr. Scott, the science behind astrology?
Wow, sure.
Do we have time?
If we have, I'll make it very quickly.
We
very
can
quick.
do the you know, if the moon affects our water
Water, of
levels
course.
in the ocean. There was the moon in Libra. I don't know if you got
3 days ago.
if
the
you got a
storms.
chance to go to the ocean.
Yeah.
How, how it affected the water
Of
levels.
course. And
Imagine
we are 80% water.
more than
So-
80% water in our system. I want Dr. Scott to say something about it because he's the scientist.
I think that's a great preface. You know, we understand that the body is 80 to 90% fluids. Those fluids are waters, lymphatic fluid, blood, enzymes, proteins, all in a very liquid environment. And those liquids have corresponding tissues, namely brain tissues and spinal tissues. Those very tissues that create all the things Annabella said, our tendencies, our likes, our dislikes, our talents, our misgivings, all those things. And at the moment that we're born and the doctor smacks us on the bottom and we take in our first breath of air, you have these heavily weighted celestial objects in the universe. Newton proved that there's gravity on this planet because an apple fell on his head. And he proved through Newtonian physics that the heavier an object is, like this Earth is a heavy middle-sized planet compared to something like a large one like Jupiter, or a moderately sized planet like Mars, or a very tiny one like the Moon. those things affect us and imprint us into the sulci of our brain, in our cerebral cortex, in our cerebellum, in our spinal cord, and create all those tendencies. I love the moon. The moon is one of our most powerful elements. But if you compare the size of the moon, which is a very, very, very small little rock, and yet it has such a tendency and an ability to affect the water on this planet, 6 to 12 feet twice a day. And if you compare the size of the moon to one of the larger celestial objects like Jupiter, it's like comparing the size of a grain of sand to a basketball.
Wow.
And yet that tiny little object creates so much of who we are. So now you can really kind of extrapolate what the other planets have to do with us and how they affect us. Of course, there's other elements like chemical compositions and distance from the planets and stuff.
Bueno, si quieren saber más, los invito el 6 de junio
estamos aquí en los estudios de BKS.
En BKS vamos a dar una introducción a donde la metafísica se une con la ciencia.
I love it.
Y vamos a hablar un poco sobre la creación de la vida y cómo llegamos acá.
Sí, yo siempre digo que estamos, we are in the era where the science and the spirituality get along, because the science now has the technology to prove all the things the metaphysical and the spiritual people
without being too self-promotional, we'll tell you our 2 upcoming lectures, Astrology and Ayurveda for First Health, and then Astrology and Ayurveda for Love and Romance, is going to be followed by our next lecture workshop, which is called Metaphysics Meets Modern Science.
I just said it.
I love it.
Thank you
So
for reaffirming
hay
that.
3 eventos.
No, 4.
Cuatro eventos. Vayan poniendo en el calendario.
Este
domingo en Oakland Park. Igual van a la página de Anabela en tu Facebook, y en el Facebook o en tu Instagram está toda la información.
Sí, en mi Facebook,
en
en Anabela Cabello o Anabela Life Coach. Hemos estado, Paula, tan ocupados, realmente bendecidos de todos estos proyectos y ayudando a tantas personas, que no hemos creado una página de Facebook. Pero
no importa,
en mi
no
página personal, no, porque es increíble y es una bendición.
Sí.
Realmente no hemos trabajado con personas haciendo promociones ni nada. Entonces estamos muy agradecidos a Paula por esta oportunidad, porque venimos ahora a Miami el 29 de mayo. Hemos estado trabajando en Broward.
Okay.
Desde principios de año, pero ya venimos a Miami el 29 de mayo, vamos a estar en The Sacred Space.
The Sacred Space, todo el mundo conoce, el 29 de mayo. Entonces,
a las 7 de la noche, de 7 a 9. Vamos a estar ofreciendo el workshop de astrología y ayurveda enfocado a la salud.
Maravilloso. Y después está el otro que está más enfocado en el romance, la pareja, que también es importante.
¿Cómo atraer la pareja perfecta? No, es maravilloso. Aparte es maravilloso y es utilizando nuestro método y combinando la astrología y la ayurveda. Y te digo que yo lo hice. Es verdad.
Bueno,
entonces
claro,
puedo hablar con fundamento. No es bla, bla, bla y algo que inventamos y vamos a ver si funciona. No. Yo
soy la prueba viviente.
Sí.
Yo siempre digo, I'm an open book. Whatever happens to me, I share with the people and share how I overcome.
Exactly.
I know it's like, oh yeah, everything is perfect with me. Nothing happened. I'm divine. It's like no. It will be like the idea would be with wings and not in this plane of the earth. So es importante saber que a todos nos pasan cosas.
Claro.
Y cuanto más nos conocemos y más sabemos manejar esas energías. Because I remember it's funny because I'm always saying, what sign? I'm Pisces, my rising is Pisces, and my moon is in Aquarius. And everybody says, oh, poor thing, pobrecita.
Bueno, por la sensibilidad.
Sí, por la sensibilidad. Pero I learned how to manage that. I remember I used to go and I don't know why, go and cry in the bed forever and get in love many times and cry and get depressed, Yes. And now, I don't get those days, but sometimes I got those days that my God, I don't know what it is, but I feel so depressed. Why am I depressed? And then I say, okay, it's gonna pass. You know, something is happening, and it's gonna
Yeah.
pass, and it passed like quickly. Then if I get like, what's happening to me, like all excited about. So I know my energy. I know that sometimes I get that blue, dark, like
Sure, we
deep,
all do. We
deep
all do.
water. You know?
Well, you know, this goes back to what we were saying before. If we know something like our Mars energy, which is your powerhouse,
Yeah.
it's your engine. You know, I, like you, have this very somewhat emotionally crippling sign of Pisces.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of wonderful stuff also, but it can be emotionally crippling.
Yes.
But if I know my Mars sign, which is Virgo, which is more powerful, which is more intellectual, well, in our method, we have a way of getting you, like we mentioned before
Yes.
with the dial, to tap into that Mars energy, which will fuel you right the heck out of anything emotionally crippling.
I
Dr.
love
Scott,
it.
I just want,
Yeah.
I want to fill him in. What I was saying before was that, you know, we were talking about the different events, and we were talking about our event on love and romance and
Right.
how we created this formula to attract the perfect partner. I also share with our viewers and with Paula that it's not a formula that we just created out of the blue. It's a formula that I implemented myself and that I was
Oh,
able
yeah.
to manifest
Absolutely.
my perfect partner.
And we
So-
do with many of our clients. They're actually using the method, which is a method. You know, we're taking credit for something that's 5 to 10,000 years old.
Yeah,
but it's a way-
but what we do need now, because we're in this super transformational time,
Yes.
and really things are changing, is we need to take some of the old methodology and old concepts and philosophy. I gave you an example before on Vedic
Yeah.
philosophy. When people start learning about, Vedic philosophy and Vedic astrology, when they start learning about Vedic astrology, their eyes glass over and they hear Hindu terms and they're gone. But yet we all have an understanding of what Western version of astrology is. Well, what we're attempting to do, we're not attempting, we're doing it. We're taking a concept of Western astrology, we're packaging it for you and putting it into kind of a more understandable Vedic, but yet Americanized Vedic formula, and we get to understand more about it, how we're manifesting those energies through Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Don't want the words to be scary, they're not. Just, you know, allow a simplified, more Americanized version to come through.
Yeah, and with the all the coaching style, which is before, like I say, psychology, you know, they take long 10, 20 years to get the drama out, and you always like on. Now the coaching is okay. We here. Where do you want to go? So I think, you know, we don't have time now to go to meditate for like 3 days in a row.
Are you saying this is a more expedited, efficient
Exactly,
version? I love it.
Yes, I think it is.
Well,
you know,
let's
because-
expedite this, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So we have the tools. We have, you know, it's not excuses.
Aristóteles dijo, y me disculpan si no lo estoy copiando exactamente igual, pero él dijo, mientras más te conoces, más sabio eres.
Así mismo es.
I'm just quoting Aristotle.
Conócete a ti mismo y conocerás la verdad. Como dice.
It goes something like, the more you know yourself, the wiser you are.
Es así porque con los que tenemos que vivir toda la vida, we live all life with ourselves, so
Absolutely.
we better get along with ourselves.
Yes, and
That's true.
accept ourselves, embrace our quality, our flaws, let's say, or the qualities that we don't like so much, and truly love ourselves.
Sí, total. Así que bueno, gracias, thank you so much.
It's our pleasure.
Yes,
It's been
and
wonderful.
I love her, and I'm gonna be in one of those seminars.
Come to the
Yeah.
Love and Romance.
Yeah, okay, I will.
Muchísimas
I have
gracias,
to
Paula,
balance
por esta
right there.
oportunidad y por todas las personas que
Señores,
que
ya
nos están
saben,
viendo.
en el Facebook de Anabela o en el Facebook del Dr. Scott, ahí están toda la información para los eventos. Y si a ver si alguien tiene alguna pregunta por acá. Ok, perfecto.
Anabela
Bueno,
Cabello
Anabela Cabello.
y Anabela Life Coach. Ahora, nuestra página web es www.askdrscottandannabella.com.
Mira qué bien. Ask Dr. Scott y Anabela.
Sí, claro. Se pueden comunicar al 786-860-47 o
631-375-8702.
Ahorita
si tienen alguna pregunta o si quieren conocer un poco más
When we
sobre lo que
repeat
estamos
this,
haciendo.
Felo González, when we repeat it, Fellow, it is on Facebook. You can watch it all over again. It's in Facebook Live. It's still on Facebook. You can watch it all over again, so you don't miss anything, Fellow. Thank you for being there. Ray Okada is watching. Everybody. So,
Fellow, if you
Thank
have
you.
any questions and you want to talk to Dr. Scott, his phone number is
631-375-8702.
wonderful.
Hope to see you soon. Thanks,
Yes.
everybody.
Okay, so este domingo,
Sí, este
en
domingo.
Oakland a las 2:30 de
2:30.
la tarde, busquen ahí la información. Así que bueno, este ha sido otro programa más de La Burbuja, hoy con mucho amor y mucha
Igualmente.
pasión y me encanta. Así que ahorita yo voy a hacer muchas preguntas.
Gracias.
Nos vemos entonces el próximo martes. Bendiciones para todos. Gracias. Bye.